We go. So, welcome everyone. So excited to share this with you. I called it Seeking Mastery. Why do we study sacred geometry? Why is it important, especially right now? Fastest, easiest tool on the planet. Let's call in sacred space. All right, let's take a big deep breath in. And as we exhale, just drop those grounding cords down. Send your roots down, down, down into the earth. And then inhale, draw that earth energy up, up, up through your body. Send it up and out through the top of the head, connecting with the heart of the divine above us. Inhaling, draw that cosmic energy back down. Send it all the way down into the earth, activating the as above, so below flow. Connecting with that flow, breathing in, breathing out, activate the as within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. Moving to the north, we welcome Mother Earth. We give such great thanks to be here in a physical body doing this sacred work right now. Moving to the south, we welcome water. We welcome clear, clean, current emotions. We welcome love, joy, and flow and abundance. Moving to the west, we welcome air and mind, focus and clarity, all of our guides, angels, allies, and helpers. And moving to the east, we welcome fire, movement, passion, divine right action. Moving to the center, we welcome our divine feminine and our divine masculine in sacred right relationship. We call that beautiful energy down through our bodies. We call up Mama Gaia to pull and magnetize that energy through us. And we welcome all of our own extraordinary souls into the circle. We ask that all of these energies be with us, pray with us, and dance with us for our mutual benefit. Let's move. All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I'm sure you all are wondering, it's not a full moon, it's not a new moon. What are we doing here? Um, every once in a while, I get a wild hair that there's more that we could be doing that maybe we're not, or maybe we feel so overwhelmed we don't know how to help the world move through the chaos that it's in. So I'm just going to read this to you. Some of this came from a post I found this morning, but it's so true, and we all know it. We're standing on the brink of the old world collapsing. And here's the key: the new world won't emerge simply because the old systems are falling apart. It only comes into existence if we create it ourselves. Truly, and I used to, when I'd hear these words because of my upbringing, I would always feel so sad when they said, no one's coming to save us, right? Um, because we were, trained that that's what was going to happen. But it truly is up to us right now. We're the ones who are going to build this new world. And in some ways, such a good thing. The teachers, the leaders, the healers, they aren't out there, out somewhere. They're right here inside of us. The old systems, because they no longer, they're crumbling, they're falling down because they don't resonate with the frequency that the earth is beginning to pulse with. And it literally does feel like we're in a hot box. More solar flares have happened. So now it's windy outside. And and it'll be intense wind, like March wind, not May wind. I'm sitting here watching it and listening to it. So, what replaces all of this that's crumbling around us um, is up to us. Those of us that are brave enough to stop nourishing the dying timelines and start building what has never existed before. So many of us know that we timed this just perfectly. We got here right when we were supposed to. This is the shift. I think just when we were younger, we may have thought it might have been a little easier. It was just we were gonna go to sleep and then we were gonna wake up and yay. No, sorry. So it's up to us to fix the problems. And I know many of you seen these pictures before. How do you fix big problems like this? You have to start at the foundational level. And so if you look at this right here, this looks overwhelming, and your little person can't do anything about that. So we just look away. We don't, or most of us, I can't speak for all of us, but this feels like too much. And when we don't know what to do, we just do nothing. We have to start at the foundational level so we can begin at the beginning. Now, I became a sacred geometry geek when I found Robert Gilbert. Bless his heart, he has left the planet already, but he left a huge legacy. And what he says, one of the brilliant things he said was, this pattern holds the secret of creating a portal to the divine by balancing opposite polarities. Now, for those of you that haven't done anything with this kind of work, that just sounds like something lofty that makes absolutely no sense at all. And Kathy, what are we doing? Um, and how do we use it to fix these problems? Here's how. So, many of you, and even if you haven't joined us, I know you've seen the emails. Many of you have gathered with me over the past few months to do what we've been calling pop-up template sessions, when astrological events indicated that the Earth and her inhabitants might need a little extra support. We've gotten together and done this kind of work. And I'm happy to say right now, virtually all of those templates that we did, it was kind of like a little experiment, they're all still working. They're all still holding space for gentle, easy change and transition through some very perilous times. And, you know, I guess what I want to say about that is that when we did them, it was, like I said, it was an experiment. It was like, we need to do something, so we're going to try this. And so they were very general. They weren't detailed too much. And we had to be careful about how we worded things because we're dealing globally, not just individually, but they worked. And so for those of you that may not understand what a template is, I'm going to explain it to you because there's new people here. Most of the people that have done this with me have taken a few of the light infusion classes, so they know what these are. But if you don't, a light infusion soul template is, they are sacred geometry shapes infused with source light frequencies to address complex situations and conditions involving groups or individuals. They sustain high vibrational frequencies over a long period of time. Each template contains its own level of potency, consistent with the shapes embedded in it. The frequency of your desired outcomes and any other frequencies you add with the template work with it to actualize the outcome. So it is a way to harness the building blocks of this planet to shift the trajectory of where we want to go on a global level. So the truth is, literally everything you see in the natural world has its foundation. It is made up. And I think most of us know this. We just kind of put it away because that was school. But it's made up of sacred geometrical shapes based on high-level mathematical equations. I know, sad but true. But the good news is that we can use these processes to shape our world. And you don't have to be a math whiz to do it. You don't have to know all the sacred geometry stuffs. It's not hard. So I found this and I wanted to it has a lot of good insights in it. So I wanted to share it with you.
What do galaxies, cloud formations, your nervous system, mountain ranges, and coastlines all have in common? They all contain never-ending patterns known as fractals. A classic example of a fractal in nature is broccoli, in that the whole stalk is a similar version of one of its branches. So cut off one piece and you're left with a smaller version of the entire broccoli. Snowflakes are another example. It's often said that no two snowflakes are ever the same, and fractals offer a fascinating explanation as to why nature works in this way, why nature continuously creates new, self-replicating, yet unique structures, and how the smallest things in existence are necessary components of the greater whole. The term fractal was coined by Benoit Mandelbrot, who was working at computer giant IBM in 1980. Mandelbrot had been fascinated by discoveries of mathematicians from the early 19th century who were attempting to define their understanding of what a curve is. Experiments such as George Cantor's discovery that a single line could be divided forever, and Helga von Koch's triangle, a shape that has an infinite perimeter but finite area, resulted in the term monsters. Mandelbrot used the modern computing powers developed by IBM to run these monster equations millions of times over. This process led him to a breakthrough equation combining the patterns found in previous monsters, resulting in his own set of numbers. This would become known as the Mandelbrot set, an infinite geometrical visualization of a fractal. One of the most amazing things about the Mandelbrot set is that theoretically, if left by itself, would continue to create infinitely new patterns from the original structure, proving that something could be magnified forever. Fractal geometry is currently applied in many fields, for example, research into climate change and the trajectory of dangerous meteorites, helping with cancer research by helping to identify the growth of mutated cells. It's even believed by some that the universe itself may be a fractal, and as you zoomed in, discover it made up of billions of galaxies. Inside of those galaxies, you would find trillions of stars and billions of solar systems and planets. And on one of those planets, you would find Earth. On Earth, you would find continents, cities, and a human. And inside of that human, you would find a brain made of millions of cells in which you would find trillions of synapses firing away. And inside of those, you would find DNA. Inside DNA, you would find atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons. Deeper still, you would find quarks, neutrinos, and so on. And then, just maybe, continuously deeper into infinity. Some believe that due to their highly complex and mysterious nature, the greatest use of fractals is yet to be discovered.
Thanks for watching.
You're welcome. So I hope some of that, for those of you that have done these templates before, I hope some of that landed here, because we are in a world that it is programmed. I remember my spirit guide one time told us randomly years ago, he said, the reason that we see the chaos that we see right now is because humans have forgotten this one fundamental rule. Everything you plant here grows. Everything. So, yeah, we've planted a lot of messy things and we're reaping the benefit or the disastrous consequences of those things. But what if we take what we know and plant different seeds? And what if we use the language of the universe, sacred geometry, to plant those seeds? When we first started playing around with this, I know I didn't, and I was the teacher. So I don't think any of us had really any idea of the consequence of the power of change that we could wield just by doing a simple template. Some of those difficulties that we were tackling when we did those pop-up sessions were big. And there was a potential for even more disaster than what we see in front of us right now. So the fact that we planted a seed and that seed is not just holding, but it's literally growing, that's pretty phenomenal. So
Watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to...
Goodbye. So I am, and this should be 103, not 301. 301 is way out there. But I'm starting another class called Light Infusion 103, Foundations of Sacred Geometry, the templates. Now, those of you that have taken 101 and 102, you know what this is. You know that this is more of what we've been doing. And in the beginning, you know, just because this is what we've always done, I made those prerequisites. But pondering the brink of what we're looking at right now, it feels not prudent to put those roadblocks in your way. So we'll manage them in class, because what we're doing is totally different than what we've ever done before. When we've done these classes in the past, we might meet 6 weeks and we do one template after another. And if you made it to class, yay, you'd cram all that information in, and then maybe it would sink in, maybe it wouldn't. And a lot of times what I would see happen is we would just put them away and we wouldn't use them anymore. Or if we did, we'd have to go back and figure out how to do it. And there's so much more that I feel, I know many of you are priestesses. I feel like as priestesses, we need to know and we need to do. So I'm changing it up. I'm not going to do it that way. It's silly to do that and have it not be functional. So I said most of this, but most of you have, if you are looking at this class, you've taken Light Infusion 101, which is how to give yourself a light infusion, and Light Infusion 102, which is how to do the basic templates. And you know that what we're doing is putting a light infusion on paper and tracking it. But what I noticed was that there were some people that joined those pop-up classes that haven't taken the class. They just did it. And they did quite well at it. So Light Infusion 103 it's like you're still going to have those others to use just exactly the way we taught you to use them. And you can keep using them. And yes, I'll go back and teach that class again in person later. I just didn't feel like we had the time to wait to teach all those again and then put this out there. We need to be doing this kind of work now. So it's going to take, Light Infusion 103 is going to take those teachings a lot deeper. Rather than just figure out the right words to say and think about what we want, we're going to begin to understand the tools that we're using and why we're using them specifically. My goal, because I've been playing with this, is to actually help you build relationships, because Robert calls, and I think most of you are probably familiar with the Platonic solids. He calls those pack thought forms from the mind of God. He used to say that all the time in class, but they truly are. They hold information. They're like little packages of information that give us a vehicle to speak to the divine in a language that can be readily understood. But in order to speak the language, we need to know, we need to understand it. We don't have to have a full working knowledge of it, but I feel like we need to, there's a potential for us to really utilize this power in a potent way. And the more we put into it, the more we're going to get out of it. So my goal is to actually help you build relationships with this language, this divine language that is sacred geometry, and use it as a tool to communicate with the divine, to literally become masters of this tool. So in the class, it's going to be totally different. You can use the tool, the templates. If you've already done 102, you can use those just like you always have. But this one is going to cause you to even use those differently. And this one, you're going to go deeply into the sacred geometry behind each one. You're also going to receive 5 more new ones, and then learn how to combine like 2 or 3 templates at a time for different purposes. But rather than meet once a week and try to download all of that information, we're going to meet once a month. And if we need a 2-week pop-up to just keep everyone on track, we'll do that. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I know how I have to pull you guys. I think that might be a good plan. But my plan is for us to just take one and dive deeply into it. So the classes will probably be at least an hour and a half, maybe two. Dive deeply into the theory, the spiritual aspects of that, what makes it tick, why we would use it, because that part is just magical and very, very potent. And if you know that, then you know what you're messing with. And you know better than to just take it lightly. And I'm going to whip out a template to do blah, blah, blah. You can use the ones you have to do that. These are going to take you deeper. And as you develop your relationship with these templates, with this language, with the divine, you'll use the others differently. I guarantee it. So that's the format. Is we're going to meet on next Friday. We begin. We're going to have one. It'll be a new one that you haven't seen before. Well, I think you've seen it embedded in things. And we're going to go deeply into the history, the theory, all of it. And then we're going to learn how to use it. And we're going to spend a whole month just playing with that one before we learn another one, so that we have that language down. They all build on themselves, so you won't want to miss, especially the first one. And then we'll move on to the next. So templates that you're going to receive to begin with, and this is just what I know right now. This stuff is dropping in and I'm getting it out to you as fast as I can go. So I know we're going to do these 5. We're going to do the Vesica. We're going to do Seed of Life, Fruit of Life, Flower of Life, and the Tree of Life. Maybe more, but we'll begin here. And then we'll use the extra 2 classes to combine the templates to do bigger things, should we want to. So once again, why am I doing this? It goes back to what we saw in that fractal video. Patterns on this planet repeat themselves. And many of us are stuck in old patterns. And one of those is, the 4 faces of fear, freeze, or we just faint. It's too much, so we can't move forward. More than any other tool I've ever used, this gives us a way to move forward. So right now, the planet is working to free herself from unhealthy patterns, and she's getting a lot of help. So what causes us distress or makes us uncomfortable, because I know a lot of the frequencies that are hitting the planet are making people ill. People are having physiological difficulty. That is just all of the other planets supporting this one. It's the sun literally sending us more light so we can figure it out, because embedded in that light is information. And quite frankly, it's what keeps poking me to put this out there. So as her frequency rises, humans are having a very hard time keeping up. And they're getting ill and they're slowing her down. It is way time for all of us, especially if you claim to be a priestess of this planet, to help. And this is a way, a very powerful way, that we can do that. So that is why I'm putting this out there. It's like, this isn't a time for us to sit passively waiting for something to change, or someone better to come make everything, bigger to come make everything better. The change has to happen through us, through how we live, through how we lead, how we show up in the world. And it's about us showing up and embodying the world we say we seek. What replaces the chaos is up to us. This is a beautiful way to replace it, to shift it at a very foundational level. It's like mom knows what to do. You just show her, give her a place your order, give her a guide. She'll take that and run with it. And we've seen evidence of it. So I am opening the floor for questions because I know I put this out to all of my classes because I think some of you had questions about the next template class. And I think some of you thought, oh, she'll do it again in another month or two. No, this is going to last probably the rest of the year. So if you want in on this, you probably should start now. And do not let money be the reason you don't. If there is an issue with that, reach out. All of my students know that I will work with you. So is there anybody here? And I'm just gonna raise your hand or speak in the chat if you have questions. I see most of my peeps in here, so maybe you don't. Okay, this was your moment. Finally, Val raised her hand. Go ahead, Val.
Yeah, I was scrambling to try and find the button. Kathy. I just had a quick one. Yeah, are light infusions more masculine in energy, or are they still on the feminine line?
That's a good question. I would call them the perfect marriage of both. And the reason is because, yeah, we're gonna direct some energy, but they give us a way. We should have, if you've been in Source Light School, we should have been acclimating ourselves to the big light coming in a long time ago. And we didn't know, so we haven't been. So when it all starts to hit, it plows us over. Light infusions give us a way to begin to do that in a tiny little way, like lifting weights. It's like you just lift 2 or 3 and you do 2 or 3 reps at the beginning. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And pretty soon you start to build muscle. If we don't, and you don't have to do light infusions. You can do, if there's other tools out there that work, use them. But if we don't begin, this is one of those we freeze. If we don't begin to help ourselves, if we don't begin to start exposing ourselves to more of our own soul's light, so that our body can get used to that frequency, all this big light that's coming in, we're going to fry. So it's like, this is my way of offering us a tool to do it gradually. So you can see how, yeah, we're going to direct the energy, but we're directing it into the body in a very gentle and easy way. I hope that answered your question, Val.
Yeah, and I was going to say, does it have a significant effect on a person's spine, or is it distributed differently?
You could. That's a good question. The beautiful thing about templates is that you can be very specific. So if you want to direct it in a very specific way, you can, but you don't have to. I hope it's so. If you wanted to direct it to your spine and do something specifically to heal it, you could.
Or keep it away from it.
Yes, absolutely.
If it might be too strong from. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thanks.
And Val, just know that you are in Source Light School. All of this will make sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I saw a bunch here. Let's see what we got. Thanks, Val. That's cool. Okay, Ina says she wants to talk with me. So just email me. And that would be 3-feathers, spell the word out, THREE-feathers at Hotmail. And I will send the recording. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Perfect. Anybody else have a question that you want me to answer online here? Or anything you want to share? So anyone that wants to reach out and talk to me, and you can also reach out to the email that is on the, the email address that's on the email, the Gmail. It's like, I have a love-hate relationship with Gmail. So, but I will pay attention and answer those emails. I know, Star. I'm excited too. And that's why I wanted to open it up to everybody. This is just silly to not do it. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, this one is different from the other class, that the Thursday class, yeah, that we just finished yesterday.
Okay. The class we finished yesterday. Oh gosh, help me. What did I teach yesterday?
With the Jasmine Starfellow, that sacred school for the class.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I know what you're talking about. I just totally blanked that one. So it is different, but related. So, and I'll just take a moment here. Most people in here understand it, but I'll take a moment to explain it. So, and I mentioned this in class yesterday. At the beginning of that class, and this is for all of you that were in the Jocelyn Starfeather class that I taught for the past 4 weeks. It was like a mini version of Source Light School. So out of Source Light School gives you the tools to access your 12 dimensions, and it gives you the tool of connecting with your soul to do that. But out of that class came other classes called light infusions. And it's a healing modality that we use to give ourselves tiny little doses of light. And to help us, remember we talked about the field and how to put different frequencies in the field. That's what light infusions do. And so when we did that class, there were 2 recordings at the first 2 classes. You received light infusions in there. You received verbal ones. What templates are light infusions that we write down on paper so that we can see how those geometrical shapes are going to work, and we can be very explicit with our desired outcomes, very explicit with the frequencies we add, and we can keep track of it. It's like I have some of them, some on my wall right now. And so 102 teaches you how to do the ones on my wall. And a lot of folks in here have done that. This class is going to be that class on steroids. It's going to give you more information than just here's a picture, write it down, and do it. It's going to really help you begin to understand all of them and understand what we're doing with light infusion therapy. So I hope that helped. Okay. Any other questions? I'll give everybody a minute because every time I get ready to go on, somebody starts talking. Ah, there's another one. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So we're going to get up and move. I planted some seeds. I put all that information in your heads. We're going to move it all around. If, like I said, if any of you need a further conversation, reach out. And 3 is, it doesn't matter whether you capitalize it or not. I think somebody asked that question. Okay. All right, here we go. Gremlins. Okay. Ina, do you have your hand up, honey? Or was that old? I can't hear you. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Do you know how? Down at the bottom, you just hit the little microphone thingy. And I tell you what, I am going to put my email in the chat, and maybe that'll help everyone. Is that a good idea? Okay, here we go. Oops, wait a minute. There you go. All right. Looks like she figured it out. Looks like she got the email. That's what she needed. Okay. All right, everyone. We are going to stop the share. Let everybody wave at each other. And I will see you all soon. I will send out the recording and in an email very soon. All right. See you soon.